Hello, people. Well, today I'm gonna do the scoring video like I said that I was gonna do. And again, it is like 2 a.m. now, so I'm just gonna put some background play of me in Frankfurt earlier today. It's not the best, admittedly, because, it's also when I first got on, but just so you could have something in the background while I'm yapping in your ear. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about scoring in general and what pets are the best for scoring. So when scoring, depending on how you're scoring, you're going to have different pets that are more required to certain play styles. So if you are scoring in, let's say, Frankfurt, you're going to use different pets to Amsterdam. Unless you're trying to fight in both servers, it's going to be very different. So, for example, if you were going to score in Frankfurt, usually you would obviously have. Well, actually, let's make some builds. So let's say I was going into Frankfurt or Moscow, which are the two most active EU servers. Usually, you want to have Atomic because you need the speed, and obviously, it's well, everyone calls it the speed pet for a reason. Then you would have Deathbringer because you need that turning radius, and then you can have a choice. So this is where I don't mind either way you go, but I have a preference. So you can have Alien, but then obviously this gives Nectar boost. So if you're trying to score, personally, I think Alien is worse. And let me explain why. So when you're scoring, you want it to, this is going to sound bad, but you want it to take longer to get to the max because then you can spend all of this time building up your stats. If you just get to 4 mil so fast with this Nectar boost, what's going to happen is you're going to get to 4 mil. You're going to have to be getting bubbles all the time, even over 300, and you don't want that. Whereas if I'm doing Barreler instead, I get movement speed and overview. So overview because they removed what's it called, binoculars. You know, when you used to be able to get binoculars at the start, now you can't. You can only get the 4 bonuses and you can't get binoculars anymore. Because they've removed that, overview, even back then, was one of the most important things. And now because they've introduced Barreler, it's probably the stronger option if you were going to score in a server that's got a lot of people in it, because you're going to need, well, obviously you're going to need fast reaction speed, but with Alien you're going to need faster reaction speed, even though you're probably going to gain mass faster. Then I say these two are the base for scoring. So if you want to score properly, these two are probably the base. Now they have released this new pet here. Obviously I haven't leveled it because I don't really see the point in spending another £200. But you can see that it says grow from nectar plus 80% at the bottom one. So obviously that is quite a high, you're gonna get 4 mil pretty fast if you're using that. And I'd recommend that you use this pet if you're bot farming maybe, but only if you have it on the max level, because obviously epic pets are a lot easier to get up. So where's Armadillo? Armadillo obviously would be a better choice because you've got a higher grow from nectar percentage. So let's say I had that, that would be more of a quiet server because I'm focusing on this because of the 56%. If I had this now, it's my highest because Alien gives plus 50, and obviously this maxed would give me more. But but I don't have this maxed, so this only gives me plus 16, which is kind of pointless because I've got other pets that do better. However, this is where it's going to be controversial. I think if you're in a server that's completely quiet, it's like 3 in the morning or something, you can't sleep, then this, yes, it's going to be a necessity, but you don't need it as much. If you're in a quiet server, you're going to have to grow from these bots. And bots, it can be very annoying just sitting there killing bots all the time. So I'd recommend use Alien for mass. If you have this max, use it. If not, I'm going to say Armadillo. And then this is going to be a really weird one, but you want to use the Stripe pet. So striped eating radius, obviously it's increased. So you can use this or you could use this, because this also does help with eating radius, and you see it's a lot more. So the reason I like eating radius is because, one, it's satisfying to me. I don't know why, I just kind of like it. And two, it's going to help with bots. So when you've got a bot, usually once you hit about 2k, it stops. The bots stop giving you mass. The slugs carry on giving you mass, and then they'll slowly start giving you less until they give you nothing. And then by the time you've hit 3 mil, bots are pretty much useless. And when you hit that, you're going to have to realize what the other things that can get you mass. So maybe growth from nectar pets would help. So instead of using this pet, which one was growth from nectar? I forgot. Not nectar, Judas. Energy recovery. Duration of bonuses. No. This one. Okay, so this helps with insect growth. So because insects, no matter how big you are, if you're like 3.9, they're still gonna add to your score. They're still gonna help you to grow. And I think in a quiet server where not many people are playing, this pet would help with that because you're gonna be getting more mass from these things. And obviously it does take a long time to get 4 mil anyway, but you're gonna have this. So obviously I'm not gonna use these builds because I usually score in more active servers. And hopefully later in this video I'm gonna go over the ways that you can score and different play styles, let's say. So this is the map, just in general, just like a small picture of the map here. And basically, there are certain areas of this map where people usually go. So obviously, you know what this means. This is me, and then you've got left water, right water. Now, when you're scoring, you've got options of where you can go. Usually, people go to the bottom corners around here, and if someone's farming, they usually go to this rock at the bottom or anywhere below. So down here is known as the farmer zone. So the reason it's known as the farmer zone is because there's the least amount of bots down there. There's the least amount of people, and it's the furthest away from spawn. Which obviously we're not farmers. We don't do any of that stuff. We don't cheat. So we are going to focus on the top part of the maps and the right side and left. So if you want to fight, usually you'll go to the right water. Now I don't know what it is, but usually everyone's in the right water. I'm thinking it's because everyone is usually right-handed. Like more people are right-handed, so it just makes sense to go right. So usually people fight along here or anywhere along the right side. So if you're trying to score, and let's say you're bot farming, that's probably not the best place to go. But if you're trying to score and you go to the top, there's usually going to be people. Left side is pretty much the same as right, except there's less fighting. So I'm going to label it now. So we're going to call the bottom section below this line, put a little F in there for farming. So people that go down there usually are farming. So if you're hunting farmers, usually if you see people down here, you can just assume they're farming. Just a quick way to check through the servers. Okay, so this little patch of water here, that's called South Pond. So we're going to put an SP. So you've got the farming zone, South Pond, and then I'm going to explain why I like these areas when I'm scoring, and depending on how I'm scoring, where I go. So if I'm fighting, I'm going to be mainly focused on this side. So fight. So F5 for fight. Now the top of the map, I like to look at it as something different. So when I usually hit about 1 mil, let's say I was bot farming before, or let's say I was, I don't know, fighting. When I hit 1 mil, I try and go to the top bit. So you see how there's these little lakes of water that come down, and you just see them, and then there's usually a rock in the middle. This is the highest spawn near the water for bubbles. So if you want bubbles fast, being at the top of the map is usually better. So I usually like stick to the top of the map to try and get bubbles, as well as getting the bot kills, because there is so many patches of land, you can still get slugs. So for scoring in the water, this is probably the best place. Then we've got the left side, and the left side I like to call it like the dead zone. So the left side's the dead zone. So we're gonna label this DZ for dead zone. So we've got our little labels. Oh wait, B for bubbles. So we've got South Pond, Fighting Zone, Bubble Area, and then we've got Dead Zone. So now that we've broken down the map a bit, now we can go into like the actual map itself. And the actual map itself is what we're going to focus on now. So I didn't realize, but I didn't record that last bit. So I've kind of just gone ahead and drawn on this, and then basically explained everything. But I realized after I didn't have my mic on, so I've not recorded any audio. So I'm just gonna have to pretty much explain what I've done. So we know the bubble area, we know the fighting zone, we know the dead zone, South Pond, and the farming area. So we've got these, and then we've got a new one now. So this is dungeon spawning. So dungeons won't spawn anywhere out of this circle. They will spawn when they first released. Yeah, they might have spawned down here, over there, wherever. Sometimes top corner it lags, but it doesn't actually spawn. It will spawn inside this circle. So depending on what game you're having, let's say you're having a fighting game, you're over here. Usually, if you want to get a dungeon, you'll be around this point here, because then you're going in. You can just dash straight in. Same with the other side. You can dash straight in. Now, when you're having a fighting game, let's say, for example, you're fighting here. Sometimes you go up here to get bubbles, but you won't be coming anywhere in the middle pretty much. You won't be going for dungeons half the time unless you're playing in Frankfurt. You somehow get away because you'll be rebel most of the time. People call it rebel running, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but you're going to be rebel. So staying over here is probably your best bet. And let's say you want to rotate down. Instead of just going across map, you could get trapped. So what you want to do, instead of trying to get bubbles down here in between South Pond and of the fighting zone, you want to go up top for bubbles, because it's probably the safest place. It's the safest bet. Even though you can still fight while you're doing it, it's probably the safest thing. Because let's say you're going down here, okay? Even in a bot farming game, if you get stuck in between here, you got the fighting zone, farming zone, and South Pond, all water areas really in close proximity to you, which is right here, and they can kill you pretty fast because they've got water speed and you don't. So if you get stuck here or here because you're trying to get bubbles on the way, it's not going to happen. But if you're getting bubbles up top, then you'll be safe. So I was also explaining in my little thing that cut out because, obviously I'm kind of slow on that fact. You've got your layers either side of the map. So usually in a fighting game, because you're accumulating so many red kills, you're not really getting as many blue kills. You'll probably get your bubbles. You won't get your slugs. You'll get you'll basically just be getting the kills, but you won't get all of the kills, because to get that 4 mil, it's not going to take that long because it is a fighting game. So usually people would decide to circle one of the layers. Now the reason you do this is because in a fighting game, usually you're in an active server, and doing a juju run after, it does take a long time. So you just go in the layer once you've got the stats that you want to get. I do think it is better though to circle the right side, because more people will be there. Even though you might get pressed a lot into the actual layer itself, there's going to be more people. Like here, you can see that there's loads of people up here. It's only 2 crowns. It's because this was Frankfurt active time. Like everyone was over here. So if you're here circling the red crown down here, everyone's going to come down here. If everyone comes down here, you'll get more kills and you'll finish your game faster. Then going over here, you'll split the map up. As I was saying with the bot farming games, usually what I like to do is go into the dead zone and get some kills. But then I want to stay in this front lake here. Not go into this one because I'm looking for a slug dungeon. Now some people may think that slug dungeons are the worst ones because they got parasites, but it's actually the best one for score. So when you go into this slug dungeon, you want to focus on slugs, but it doesn't matter if you get the parasites at all. It doesn't. Because your focus in that dungeon is just slugs. Because the hardest thing to get in this game for your score is slugs. It takes ages. And you have to get 9,999 for a max. And if we think about that, that is a lot. Because every single kill you get, let's say you kill someone that's 5 tons. 5 tons. So let's say that's 1 blue kill. So 5 tons, 1 blue kill, you get about 8 slugs. So if we see this and we're thinking, okay, so I've just killed a bot that's 5 tons, gives me 8 slugs. Is that's going to take a very long time to build up to what you need, which is 9, 9, 9, 9. And right here you can see how long that takes in general. So if we recap, you need 300 bubbles, 100 Jugers, you need 200 blue kills, and you need 100 red kills, and you need 9, 9, 9, 9 slugs, as well as 100 crowns, and 4 mil. Mass, or 4,000 tons. So as we can see from the stats on the left side here, for the slugs, it's obviously the biggest number. Well, discarding the mass is easier to get. For these, it is by far the biggest number. And for the mass itself, if you're looking at it tons, that's 4,000. So we need 9,999 slugs. So for slugs, the dungeon, if it is a slug dungeon, it will help massively. And bubbles 300, that's why we've got a bubble zone. And yeah, depending on your play style, I stick to these kind of sections. Like if you want to fight more, be at the top and at the sides. If you don't want to fight as much, you want to bot farm, this side, up top, maybe around South Pond. And then if you don't want to fight at all, you just want to circle, then the middle, usually around the rocks. But usually with circling, you're just dungeon farming. Now dungeon farming, I don't see it as cheating, but it is the most boring thing on the planet. Because you just circle, go in a dungeon, circle, go in a dungeon. It's pretty much just waiting around for a dungeon. And the 4 mils from that aren't really the best. So if you want to do like score properly, usually bot farming is the easiest way, but it takes the most time. Fighting takes second, well, it's legit too. It doesn't take as much time, but it still takes a long time because usually you circle at the end to accumulate all the stats that you don't already have. Let's say I got a 4 mil in Frankfurt and I had 100 blue kills, 70 red kills, 1,000 slugs. Like, this already are 100 Jugers. So this already, yeah, we can tell that that's like, you know, you need a lot more. Because if we go back to this, 100 blue kills, sorry, you need 200, so you need to double that. So the circling does help. 70 red kills, you need 30 more. Slugs, you need a lot more, but usually with fighting, you're not going to get to that max slugs unless you're adding a tiny bit of bot farming in with your fighting too. It's not really possible. And then crowns, you accumulate them anyway. You don't really need to focus on them. They'll come with the kills. And unless you're farming, that shouldn't be an issue. And then mass, obviously, that's what you're aiming for. So that is my recap pretty much on everything. So as always, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you did enjoy, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And honestly, drop a comment and tell me if this helps you or not. Because if it doesn't help, then I kind of need to do it again. You know what I mean? I need to improve it. But yeah, this helped me get top 1. So I hope it helps you guys improve your main scores. And I will see you next time.